This sandwich is so good there was basically a movie dedicated to it. Why? I think if you see it, you'll understand. The Cubano. It is in its own category and it dominates that category. Even though it's simple, there is such a thing as a wrong combination. There's so many ways to make it incorrectly. And to me, this is, and I'm not joking, the best version that exists, period. Why would I say that? Because the best Cubano that I've ever had came from a place called Sandwich in Florida. I loved it so much, I brought the family that created the restaurant out here to show us how to make the best Cubano you can at home. So I'll stop talking, let's just make this, shall we? We have the man himself. Thank you for being here. If we're gonna make a sandwich, might as well make your own bread. And you guys make your own bread.
We do, we make everything in-house. So what we have here is approximately 625 grams of bread flour, 38 grams of sugar, about 10 grams of salt, and 21 grams of the instant yeast. I like a lot of lard. Here we have 6 tablespoons.
It's a little bit softened, but not melted.
Room temperature, and then comes the water. You're looking at about 321 grams. This needs to be tempered to about 105 degrees. Do a little bit at a time, and now you're gonna turn it on to approximately about a third of the way through. Let it start to mix.
Then just stream in the rest of your water slowly as the mixer continues to go.
So right now what we're looking for is making sure that you're looking for that the dough doesn't stick on the bowl and it slaps. At that point, you wanna give it roughly about 5 minutes of properly mixing to knead the dough. And it's actually not quite complicated. If you had it in a bowl, you can just knead it. It's gotta feel like dry gum. It doesn't quite stick to your hand. The main distinction between all the other breads and Cuban bread is that Cuban bread has lard. Lard just adds that loft, that airiness to it, and it's pliable and kind of quite spongy.
So for those who don't know, the window pane test, you basically can stretch a piece of dough till it's so thin, you could literally see through the light on it like a window pane.
And so in order to prepare it for proofing, you want to easily just grab the dough, you just kind of roll it in your hands, and you're gonna get that.
Okay, so we have a large bowl here, more lard. So you're not even touching this vegetable oil, you're like lard only.
No, lard only.
Keep it a nice, clean, consistent flavor.
Yeah.
I also think lard adds a lot of softness to the crumb, whereas vegetable oil makes it really chewy.
Add some lard to the base. Beautiful, done.
So then we cover this bad boy with plastic wrap?
That's all we have to do.
So leave this at room temp for 30 minutes or until doubled in size. So this is risen.
Kind of want to give it a good little
Degas.
degas it. And then once you do that, you want to take it out. Typically, if you're doing a Cuban sandwich, we portion this dough out to about 5-ounce portions.
So if you want to make long loaves, you're going to separate it into 12-ounce pieces. If you want to make individual loaves, like one loaf per person, they would be 5-ounce balls. So choose your adventure.
This is going to be the large loaf. You don't want to add any more flour to this. You want to start off by elongating it, and you want to get somewhere around the 18 to 24 inches in length. Try to be even when you're rolling these out. And then now, you want to take and you want to fold, and you want to just roll it. And that is going to be your loaf.
Okay,
so here, we'll do the same thing. Oh, you've done this before. That's beautiful.
So we're going to lift this bad boy up.
And just roll it over. So when we are gonna put this in the tray, we wanna make sure that bottom part is face down.
So we'll finish these off. These are probably the easiest loaves of bread I've ever made.
These are, I'm telling you, Cuban bread is super simple to make. And in my opinion, it's one of the best breads. And there you have it. These will proof to a nice size. Make sure that seam is face down.
So another baking sheet, parchment. You've got your bread seam side down, like you said here.
Yes, sir.
You have your 2 examples, your long loaf or your short loaf, up to you.
That's it. Just gonna add saran wrap over these. Now, you can do one of 2 things. One, you can use the saran wrap, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna trap all of the gases and some of the humidity, or you can use, in many households, a damp cloth.
Like mom used to do.
Exactly. You want to make sure that the saran wrap is loose, because as it starts to proof, you don't want to confine it. We're looking right now that these will have pretty much a double in size, yeah, but what they're going to do is they're practically going to inflate. They're not necessarily going to get longer. This process here is anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes.
Look at these beauties. Doubled in size, like you said, they kind of puffed like a balloon. Not necessarily longer, but just more volume. So at this stage, we will remove the plastic wrap.
We spray it with a little bit of water, and it's just going to add to the humidity. The purpose of doing this is when you put it into the oven, you don't want it to toast too quickly. It's going to prevent a lot of the burn, and it's going to give a nice flakier crust.
It also allows for expansion too, right?
It
Because the
does.
skin of it now is moistened, so it will
You want to
stretch.
humidify it. But before we do, we want to give it a nice slice.
You can use a sharp knife or you can use a razor blade, like a box razor blade, even a box cutter, just something sharp to give it a little score.
And don't be afraid, you can get in there.
For the big guys, you do the same thing, right? Scored lengthwise, boom.
In an oven like this at the house, I would probably set a small little pan like this and just add a little bit of water. It's nice to have a little bit of moisture, almost like a steam bath in your oven to prevent the drying or overcooking.
So is that like a nice to have or you have to do it?
No, it's a nice to have.
Okay, got it.
Now we placed our loaves into the oven at 375 Fahrenheit. This could also be arranged between 350 and 400 depending on your oven. So if you want to be accurate, put a high heat thermometer in there. Now we let those bake for about 25 minutes, took them out of the oven, and look at these soft, airy Cuban loaves. Now that we have our bread, Rosa is going to show us how to make the lechon, starting with the marinade.
This is Dijon mustard.
10 ounces, which is quite a lot of Dijon mustard.
Do not try yellow mustard. It's gonna hit you in the face. This is nice, it has a good balance. Then we're gonna add the sugar.
We got a half cup of brown sugar.
I'm gonna mix that so you have no more streaks. And what you're looking for is just like a really nice carameled color.
This looks beautiful. I see a bucket of peeled garlic, which I love. I just was expecting less, but I'm not complaining.
We are Cuban, less is never an option.
Love.
More is always.
So we have this beautiful Boston butt. Look at this thing.
Nice marbleization. We use only prime pork butt. It's a single farm, Villari Farms. They're out of North Carolina. And the quality of the pork that we receive for us is extremely important.
So what's next with this?
We're gonna stab it. You wanna come in, you wanna be careful, but you don't wanna be shy.
It's scary.
This is a great dish to make if you're really upset at someone. It's a de-stressor all the way. And so you just wanna make sure that you make holes all the way around.
No hesitation at all.
You know how many pork butts I've stuffed in the last 8 years?
That's fair.
You can never puncture too many holes into it. I think that looks pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah.
I just think you want me to let go of the knife.
I'm slightly nervous, just ever so slightly, We have almost a pint of garlic cloves, so I'm assuming we just jam them in there,
Just
yeah?
get in there. The more garlic, the better. And if the hole is not big enough, just stick your thumb in there.
Honestly, this is kind of fun. As this is roasting, the fat is gonna render out of the pork.
Correct.
It's gonna catch these cloves, and it's gonna almost confit them.
Correct. Now we're gonna salt her with kosher salt. All kosher salt is not made equal.
I agree with you.
I like to use diamond, but you have to know your kosher salt because you can oversalt it or undersalt it depending on kind of kosher salt you're using. So go for it, don't be shy. Oh, and I'll pat that, another little sprinkle. Gorgeous. Let's turn that around. Wanna make sure you get all sides. All right, perfect. Kosher salt down really good, and we're ready to marinate. We're gonna put this in here. We're gonna roll that in there. There you go. I like that you took your gloves off.
Yeah, well, I put them on and then I realized you weren't wearing any, and I was like, well, now I look like a Wow, it smells amazing. So we have a hotel pan.
We're gonna transfer this over.
We have a thermometer. Is this gonna go thickest part?
Yes.
Thermometer's in.
So we're gonna put the parchment so the pork does not come in contact with the aluminum foil. Otherwise,
that?
you'll have like a chemical reaction.
Gotcha.
And then your pork will sometimes maybe turn a little bit green
Ugh,
at the top.
don't love that.
We do not want that.
Foil tight.
Yes, keep all that steam in there.
Theoretically, if someone were to do this at home, they could probably do it in like a baking dish or a large deep roasting tray maybe.
Absolutely. You just wanna make sure when it starts to render, you are going to get about 3 inches of liquid that's gonna come out. So you wanna make sure that you can catch that. It's gonna go in the oven, slow and low is best. So 325.
You said internal temperature of the pork is 150.
Yes, 145, 150.
Which will take 2 to 3 hours. See the pork in a second. Okay, so we've reached temperature. We've pulled it out of the oven. What's our next step?
All right, we're gonna pull off the aluminum foil and we're gonna sprinkle on the sugar.
And unless you want to burn yourself, I always like to do this away from me, so I'll start at the farthest end. All right, we have our beautiful slow roasted pork butt.
Brown
So
sugar, we're gonna sprinkle it on top.
We've increased the oven temperature to 350 Fahrenheit. This bad boy's gonna go in there uncovered for around 15-ish minutes. And the internal temperature reaches at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Be careful opening this, you will get a facial. Crispy, lightly caramelized on the outside, looking good.
All right, we're gonna take the pork butt, we're gonna lay it here because it needs to chill. So you see all that beautiful rendering down there?
Yes.
That's what we're gonna save.
Never throw away the jus.
Or the lard.
We have our jus, which has all the fat. We're gonna refrigerate this and keep this. Let this cool at room temperature, just till it's not hot to the touch. And we'll wrap it in plastic wrap and set in the fridge till chilled. Okay, so pickles.
This is super simple, right?
Yep.
You can have a lot of fun with pickles.
I really appreciate that you guys make all this stuff.
Thank you.
Just even things down to the pickle, because I think pickles are the #1 most overlooked item on any menu across the globe.
Well, we'll take it even a step further. We'll make our own mustard.
All right, okay. All right, we get it.
So we got 1.5 cups of vinegar. Now we're gonna do 3/4 cups of water. We're gonna bring all of this up to a boil.
1 tablespoon of kosher salt.
We're gonna add our dill seeds. Teaspoon is fine.
Really important distinction. If you want a dill pickle flavor in your pickles, you actually need dill seed, not fresh dill. Fresh dill will add a freshness, but the dill seed is crucial.
And it adds some nice color to the jar too, right? And then here we have coriander, 1 teaspoon, half teaspoon fennel. Then we're gonna add about 4 allspice, 3 cloves, and then we have, of course, 2 garlic cloves. Believe it or not, we're gonna add a pinch of red pepper flakes. It's gonna open up the flavors.
Little bite.
And then here we have jalapeno de-seeded half.
Theoretically, you could leave the seeds in if you want it a little hotter.
And then here we have about 2 or 4 twigs of dill. The jalapeno is gonna serve as a really good indicator of when this is ready. When it starts to kind of like fall apart, it's not so vibrant and green, that's when you know this is gonna be ready. So
Okay.
you do wanna cover it because you don't want the water to evaporate.
Okay.
Right?
So then while that's coming up to a boil, we're gonna
Yep.
slice our cukes. For everybody at home, if you don't have a mandolin, that's totally fine. The only reason you would use a mandolin is for consistency of cuts and speed. If you use a knife, you might end up with one that's smaller than the other. It's fine, but mandolin.
And you wanna make sure that you don't get your fingers caught up.
So what's the thickness?
I'd say about 1/8 of an inch. You don't wanna go any thicker than that. Be very careful with the mandolin as I nearly nip my finger.
Just load these bad boys into a mason jar or a heat-proof container. We boiled our brine, brought it back down, cut off the heat, let it chill until room temp, and then now we have it here, ready to pour directly on top.
You do not want to forget all the spices. Tighten it up, just mix it. And honestly, you give this 30 minutes and you got yourself some pickles.
Beautiful. So we have pickles, we have bread.
We need jamon.
Before everybody freaks out, I've got a solution for you. May I present to you the kitchen knife? Ultimately, the goal here is to slice things as thinly and consistently as possible. If you happen to have a meat slicer, this really comes in handy because there's nothing that'll get your meat thinner than a meat slicer.
We have some ham. It's not our ham, but this is a great city ham that we were able to find to substitute, which is what most of your viewers are going to be able to find at their local deli shop. If it's sweet, even better, because Cuban sandwiches are made with sweet ham. So for ours, for instance, we sweeten it with 100% honey.
All right, we're on. Beautiful, first slice.
Yes, we're gonna bring it down to 1 just so we get a little bit thinner. At Sandwich, we like our deli meats nice and thin. And we're gonna make a lot of sandwiches, so we're gonna slice away.
Doesn't that weirdly calm you down? I love the sound of a meat slicer going and the slicing sound. It makes me sleepy. Beautiful, look at that. A bouquet of ham, if you will. So for 8 sandwiches, how much ham do we need?
At our shop, we do 3 ounces of ham and 3 ounces of lechon per every 8 inches of Cuban loaf.
God, y'all are really f***ing dialed.
Precise,
You're
we are.
dialed.
Every detail matters.
So you'll need 1.5 pounds of thinly sliced ham. Now, for the lechon.
We're gonna slice it thin. But in order to get this on there, we're gonna cut it right down the center. So we have a flat surface to start with. Let's see, we are on 1. Look at that. How beautiful that is with the garlic cloves in there.
It's got that stained glass look where you have different textures all punctured throughout the image, but it's meat. So here it is. Now we can make our sandwich.
So we have our 8-inch loaf of Cuban bread here. It's nice and fluffy on the inside. Now we only add mustard to the bottom, but we're going to add a little zigzag of the Coleman's mustard, our preferred choice. And we're gonna go in with a lechon. So the lechon is marinated with mustard and the sugar, so it complements the acidity of the yellow mustard very well. So we're just gonna make sure that we fold these in here. We don't wanna lay it down flat. We wanna kind of make it look like a little flower. So we're gonna prep them up like this from end to end. We don't want any ends without this amazing lechon. And then we're going to go in with our ham and we'll do the same. And now we're gonna go in with our pickles. And you don't wanna be shy with pickles. Pickles is essential to the Cuban sandwich. I don't let anybody walk into the store and say no pickles on their Cuban. And then we're gonna go in with Swiss cheese. Only Swiss cheese, not provolone, not Munster. It has to be Swiss cheese. All right. And we're gonna go in and we are ready to press this bad boy.
So we got the toaster ready. It's at 355 roughly. You have the jus, which is the liquid from the lechon, but also the fat that rendered out as well, which is now solidified because we refrigerated this.
Now you're gonna need to scoop the fat out of there and set it to the side.
And we're gonna make sure that we coat the press, which we call la plancha.
It's so excited, it's popping and jumping.
And then we're gonna grab that same lard, we're gonna brush some on the top. You can cook at a high heat with it so you don't have to worry about burning. And we're gonna give it a nice press, and it'll be here for about 5 minutes. You wanna make sure that the center is warm all the way through and that the cheese is nicely melted. Do not ruin it and get too excited and take it off the press prematurely. I'm gonna turn this around so we get an even press.
God, that smells incredible.
We are ready to bring this sandwich cubano out of la plancha. That's what you want to see. Nicely melted.
Finally, slice it on a long bias. We all know that that creates more sandwiches. And look at this cross section.
So we crescendo to this moment. Sandwich is a family operation, and we have a family here. Thank you guys so much for showing us this, for teaching the channel, teaching me. I learned a few things on this one.
Well, food is a binding factor in our culture, as in many, but we don't take these opportunities for granted. So when we break bread together.
Well, let's break this bread, because I've been waiting a while.
Let's do it, baby.
Wow, look at this.
Leave one for me.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, 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 cheers. It's a banger. I mean, it's so perfect. You guys really have nailed the formula. It's the best Cubano I've ever had. Still is today. The crispiness of the bread, it's so soft. The cheese is melty. The fattiness of the meat. The ratio of protein is so perfect too. It's so balanced. And guess what? Perfectly seasoned with salt. It's kind of important. A lot of Cubanos are just like overly acidic. They're not salty. This is balanced.
That means a lot to us. Thank you.
And now you guys know how to make it. Links in the description for a recipe. If you're ever in Florida, you go to Sandwich, check them out, subscribe. Bye.